Welcome back to Wings and Bibles. I'm Dustin, and today we'll be covering Part 71, Designation of Class Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo airspace areas, and we'll also be covering air traffic service routes and reporting points. Starting off here, we have 71.1, Applicability. A listing for Class Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo airspaces, air traffic service routes, and reporting points can be found in the FAA Order JO 7411J. Airspace designations and reporting points, dated July 31st, 2024. This incorporation by reference was approved by the Director of the Federal Register in accordance with 5 U.S.C. 552A and 1 CFR Part 51. The approval to incorporate by reference FAA Order JO 7411J is effective September 15, 2024 through September 15, 2025. During the incorporation by reference period, proposed changes to the listings of Class Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo airspace areas, air traffic service routes, and reporting points will be published in full text as proposed rule documents in the Federal Register unless there is good cause to forego notice and comment. Amendments to the listing of Class Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo airspace areas, air traffic service routes, and reporting points will be published in full text as final rules in the Federal Register. Periodically, the final rule amendments will be integrated into a revised edition of the order and submitted to the Director of the Federal Register for approval for incorporation by reference in this section. This incorporation by reference material is available for inspection at the Federal Aviation Administration and at the National Archives and Records Administration, or NARA. Contact the FAA at Rules and Regulations Group, Federal Aviation Administration, 600 Independence Avenue, Southwest, Washington, D.C., 20597. Their phone number is that. An electronic version of FAA Order JO 7411J is available on the FAA website at this website here. A copy of FAA Order JO 7411J may be inspected in docket number FAA 2024-2061, amendment number 71 through 56 on this website. For information on the availability of this material at NARA, email this email or visit this website. Next we have reporting points, 71.5. The reporting points listed in subpart H of FAA Order JO 7411J consist of geographic locations at which the position of an aircraft must be recorded in accordance with Part 91 of this chapter. So reporting points are points that if you pass over them, you have to report your position over them. Bearings, radials, and mileages. All bearings and radials in this part are true and are applied from point of origin, and all mileages in this part are stated as nautical miles. So they're saying the bearings and radials listed in this part are in true, not magnetic, and originate from the point of origin. And all the mileages are in nautical miles, not miles, or statute miles. Part 71.9, overlapping airspace designations. When overlapping airspace designations apply to the same airspace, the operating rules associated with the more restrictive airspace designation apply. For the purpose of this section, Class Alpha airspace is more restrictive than Class Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, and Class Golf airspace. Class Bravo airspace is more restrictive than Class Charlie, Delta, Echo, and Golf airspaces. Class Charlie airspace is more restrictive than Class Delta, Echo, and Golf airspace. Class Delta is more restrictive than Class Echo or Class Golf airspace, and Class Echo is more restrictive than Class Golf airspace. So this section is saying if there's a rule where two airspaces overlap, the more restrictive airspace takes precedent and the rules as well. 7111 Air traffic service routes. Unless otherwise specified, the following apply. An air traffic service ATS route is based on a center line that extends from one navigation aid, fix, or intersection to another navigation aid, fix, or intersection, or through several navigation aids, fixes, or intersections specified for that route. An ATS route does not include the airspace of prohibited area. Now they're going to classify, or basically tell you what are air traffic service routes. Unless otherwise specified, ATS routes are classified as follows. In subpart A of this part, jet routes, area navigation routes, or RNAV. In subpart E of this part, VOR Federal Airways, Colored Federal Airways, Green Federal Airways, Amber Federal Airways, Red Federal Airways, Blue Federal Airways, and Area Navigation RNAV routes. So those are what are considered air traffic service routes. 7115 Designation of jet routes and VOR Federal Airways. Unless otherwise specified, the place names appearing in the descriptions of airspace areas designated as jet routes in subpart A of FAA Order JO 7400 11J and as VOR Federal Airways in subpart E of FAA Order JO 7400 11J are the names of VOR or VORTAC navigation aids. FAA Order JO 7400 11J is incorporated by reference in 71.1. Now we're getting into designation of airspace. The first one we have here is Class Alpha airspace, 7131. The airspace descriptions contained in 7133 and the routes contained in subpart A of FAA Order JO 7400 11J, incorporated by reference C71.1, are designated as Class Alpha airspace within which all pilots and aircraft are subject to the rating requirements, operating rules, and equipment requirements of Part 91 of this chapter. Class Alpha airspace, 7133, that airspace of the United States, including the airspace overlying the waters within 12 nautical miles of the coast of the 48 contiguous states from 18,000 feet MSL to and including flight level 600, excluding the states of Alaska and Hawaii. So over in the mainland US, from 18,000 to flight level 600, and within 12 nautical miles of the coast is what is designated as Class Alpha airspace. That airspace of the state of Alaska, including the airspace overlying the waters within 12 nautical miles of the coast from 18,000 feet MSL to and including 600 flight level 600, but not including the airspace less than 1,500 feet above the surface of the Earth and the Alaska Peninsula west of the longitude west. The airspace area listed as offshore airspace area in subpart A of FAA Order JO 7400 11J, incorporated by reference C71.1, that are designated in international airspace within areas of domestic radio navigation signal or ATC radar coverage, and within which domestic ATC procedures apply. Moving on to Class Bravo airspace, 7141. The Class Bravo airspace listed in subpart B of FAA Order JO 7400 11J, incorporated by reference C71.1, consists of specified airspace within which all aircraft operations are subject to the minimum pilot qualification requirements, operating rules, and aircraft equipment requirements of Part 91 of this chapter. Each Class Bravo airspace area designated for an airport in subpart B of FAA Order JO 7411J contains at least one primary airport around which the airspace is designated. So this is saying Class B only exists around an airport in which it's designated to be Class Bravo. Next we have Class Charlie airspace, 7151. The Class Charlie airspace listed in Subpart C of FAA Order JO 7411J, incorporated by reference C71-1, consists of specified airspace within which all aircraft operators are subject to operating rules and equipment requirements specified in Part 91 of this chapter. So just like Class Bravo, if you're in Class Charlie, you have to follow the rules in Part 91. Each Class Charlie airspace area designated for an airport in Subpart C of FAA Order JO 7411J, incorporated by reference C71-1, contains at least one primary airport around which the airspace is designated. Kind of the same verbiage as the Class Bravo airspace. 7161, which is Class Delta airspace. The Class Delta airspace are listed in Subpart D of FAA Order JO 7411J, incorporated by reference. C71-1 consists of specified airspace within which all aircraft operators are subject to operating rules and equipment requirements specified in Part 91 of this chapter. Each Class Delta airspace area designated for an airport in Subpart D of FAA Order JO 7411J, incorporated by reference C71-1, contains at least one primary airport around which the airspace is designated. So once again, same verbiage as the previous two. Now it changes up with Class Echo. 7171 Class Echo airspace. Class Echo airspace consists of the airspace of the United States, including that airspace overlying the waters within 12 nautical miles of the coast of the 48 contiguous states and Alaska, extending upward from 14,500 feet MSL up to, but not including, 18,000 feet MSL, and the airspace above flight level 600, excluding the Alaska Peninsula west of longitude. That longitude, if I'm not mistaken, that's probably the divide in the waters between Russia and Alaska. So I think that's what that longitude is. And the airspace below 1,500 feet above the surface of the Earth. The airspace areas designated for an airport in Subpart E of FAA Order JO 7411J, incorporated by reference C71-1, within which all aircraft operators are subject to operating rules specified in Part 91 of this chapter. So there's that verbiage again. The airspace areas listed as domestic airspace areas in Subpart E of FAA Order JO 7411J, incorporated by reference C71-1, which extend upward from 700 feet or more above the surface of the Earth, when designated in conjunction with an airport for which an approved instrument approach procedure has been prescribed, or from 1,200 feet or more above the surface of the Earth, for the purpose of transitioning to or from the terminal or en route environment. When such areas are designated in conjunction with airways or routes, the extent of such designation has the lateral extent identical to that of a federal airway and extends upward from 1,200 feet or higher. Unless otherwise specified, the airspace areas in the paragraph extend upward from 1,200 feet or higher above the surface to, but not including, 14,500 feet MSL. The federal airways described in Subpart E of FAA Order JO 7411J, incorporated by reference C71-1. So they're also just saying federal airways are part of this part, Class Echo airspace. The airspace areas listed as en route domestic airspace areas in Subpart E of FAA Order JO 7411J, incorporated by reference C71-1, unless otherwise specified, each airspace area has a lateral extent identical to that of a federal airway and extends upward from 1,200 feet above the surface of the Earth to the overlying or adjacent controlled airspace. The airspace areas listed as offshore airspace areas in Subpart E of FAA Order JO 7411J, incorporated by reference C71-1, that are designated in international airspace within areas of domestic radio navigation signal or ATC radar coverage, and within which domestic ATC procedures are applied. Unless otherwise specified, each airspace area extends upward from a specified altitude up to, but not including, 18,000 feet MSL. 7191 Applicability. Unless otherwise designated, each reporting point listed in Subpart H of FAA Order JO 7411J, incorporated by reference C71-1, applies to all directions of flight. In any case where a geographic location is designated as a reporting point for less than all airways passing through that point, or for a particular direction of flight along an airway only, it is so indicated by including the airways or direction of flight in the designation of geographical location. So it's saying you have to report over each reporting point regardless of your flight direction, unless it's indicated that you only have to report it when you're traveling in a certain direction. Place names appearing in the reporting point descriptions indicate VOR or VORTAC facilities identified by those names. And that's going to do it for this video on part 71. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. See ya!